Mr. Vilas is here to share his thoughts for the same. On behalf of ViewSonic India, I welcome him wholeheartedly for our session. And today we are going to stream or talk about in our episode 1. We have a series of episodes designed with him where we'll be talking about the complete scenario, we'll talk about the solutions, and we'll talk about the way forward. Mr. Vilas, thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful session. Our audience is looking forward to listen to your views today. And before we start the session, I would like to understand that how excited are you to share your thoughts and what is that for our audience in this today's session?
Sure, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here, and welcome to the participants who have joined us online. Yes, I think very excited to talk about the digital transformation which has happened, especially due to the unexpected pandemic which we all had to go through. And the entire education system has, has seen the ill effects, I can say, about the students have gone through a lot in terms of missing out in their education. But luckily, through the technology, we were able to overcome, not completely, but I could say a certain extent, we could try and reach out to students, being in the house and still able to deliver it. The teachers, the school, the education system entirely have done a tremendous job in trying to overcome these limitations of not having the normal schools. But having said that, I think the rural education have, they have lost those 2 years. Basically, the students have suffered. We can't, deny that fact. Though, but still, I think government has taken a lot of measures concerned to that, and they are well prepared. I think education system, in terms of digitization, is concerned. It has grown. I think because of this pandemic, I think it has exceeded. It has leaped around 7-8 years ahead of the current pace what the system or the education was going in terms of adoption of these digital tools. But yes, I think now, since the schools have started to reopen, and especially the metros, they know the use of these platforms. They know much better compared to 2 years back. They are much more well versed with the technologies, the terminologies, the way they can adapt to the technology which are available in the system. So yeah, I'm quite excited. Let's we also will be able to happy to know what are the challenges the teachers were facing while they were doing these sessions. During the pandemic also, I had done sessions, online sessions, about what they can choose from the available technologies and what are the limitations. So it's never ending. I think now we are facing another challenge about having the school open, and still some kids will not be able to make it for the regular classes, be it for health reasons or travel reasons. So now the school management is thinking about having this hybrid learning models, which is the solution which they can opt for. So yeah, we can talk about so a lot of things.
I can't disagree with you with the points which you shared. Definitely, there is rural India where also the education and learning outcomes have been impacted. And when we talk about the cities, there also things have been impacted. And I'm sure schools are trying their level best to overcome those limitations. A lot has changed in those 2 years, and a lot has to change in the upcoming classrooms. Now that everybody is getting out of the online mode and getting into the hybrid mode of learning. So I think it all makes quite sense for all the stakeholders in education industry to adapt to the changes and find out the solutions which work best in their environment. And taking this thing forward, I and my audience here is excited to, or we are eager to actually understand your field experience, on-field experience about post-pandemic trends in education. And so we'll give the stage to you. I would request my audience who all have joined us, please feel free to share your comments, your views, any doubts you have for Mr. Vilas in our comment section while the video is being played. And we will be happy to take your queries at the end of the session. So I'll hand over the stage to Vilas sir, and over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks again. So here, I think here this is more like an online session. I'm taking an online class, but then yes, now starting with this point, what I understand is that one is that delivering a knowledge session. That's what happens in a teaching in a classroom. So delivering a session generally needs a lot of insights in terms of the students in a classroom scenario. And the subject what I'm talking about, like for example, now it is a very brief, at the most I will be showing you a presentation, but then imagine if I had to use certain math formulas or certain science experiments, zoology classes and so many things which a normal school, normal classes are to be conducted. And how do we do that? So there are solutions for that as well. And normally in a classroom, when there is a board, so there are certain whiteboard applications which are available. There are certain video conferencing tools. I think the first thing what happened when the online sessions had to be taken was a lot of schools were directly connecting with the video conferencing platforms. So through that, they could have two-way sessions, to and fro. But then there was still limitation in terms of using the technology tools. So I'm sure later, as time passed, so there were a lot of other tools which were discovered. There were existing softwares which a lot of them were not aware of. So they got integrated with the teaching systems. So let's see what are the things which were being used and now what we can look forward. So I have prepared a small slide on them. So let me just share this slide with you all. So yeah, Punika, can you just confirm if you can see the slide?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yes, great. Yeah. So yeah, so we are talking about what are the trends. I'm talking about the trends which currently post-pandemic we are hearing of, which we're getting a lot of inquiries in terms of implementation, in terms of getting the right product and solutions in the classrooms. So I will not talk about how it has been in the past. So let's in case if anybody wants to hear something more on the specific technologies in terms of the classrooms which can be filled in, so we can always talk on them. We can take separate sessions. But right now, the most important thing after starting the school has been the upgrading of the technology in digital classrooms, right? So in case if there were digital tools in the classroom, so what the first thing one needs to do now is that they need to upgrade them. Now, when I say upgrade is that in terms of the computing elements, so whatever happens in the classroom in terms of deliveries, it all, the PC is the computing element, is the heart of it. So now, based on the experience, based on taking the sessions, online sessions, everyone knows about how important it is to have a good running machine, which can do faster processing. So that is one important aspect at present, that a lot of schools want to upgrade their systems. Whatever the previously they were using, could be, dual core processor or core 2 duo, they've gone into an i3 or i5, for example. So that has to be done. So that will define a lot of difference in terms of experiencing this content remotely. And again, if in case if there has not been any digital infrastructure, yes, we have hearing a lot of inquiries about owning one such digital classroom infrastructure. So when we talk about digital classroom, so what exactly it has to have? It just needs to possess a certain basic ingredients in terms of digital infrastructure. The term digital classroom has been used in different scenarios, but exactly if you ask me, it is varying. There is no fixed formula about what a digital classroom has to be. But then, of course, there has to be one big projector, which we normally see, the projector and the computing element, which is there. So we will talk about what are these technologies which we can opt from, which we can pick and choose from the available, available brands, available displays and the audio systems and other things. And the second thing is, I was also hearing a lot in terms of the streaming platforms are concerned, in terms of classroom streaming. So when a classroom streaming, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of difference between a video conferencing platform and a class streaming software. So the basic differences in terms of what we're using right now, if it is a Zoom, it is a two-way communication, video conferencing. I can use tools here. I can just pick and choose certain highlighters, certain pointers. If I need to do a certain bit of annotations, I can still do it on them, which is okay, which is still manageable in terms of only providing the content. Now, when it comes to further, for example, if I have to do this session 8 hours a day, or maybe if as a school management, if there are teachers, and then every day we need to conduct those classes, and there are different periods, there are different sessions, there are different subjects which have to be taught. So we need a lot of systemization in terms of allocating different teachers, different set of students, and those attendance to be taken, the assessments to be taken, even conducting online examinations, results, classwork. There's so many things. All these things comes as a part of a classroom streaming software. So which is something which we can upgrade to them in case if the school is not using them at present. So they can migrate from the video conferencing platforms to this classroom teaching platform. So which has got all these tools. We can conduct the classes much better way, even remotely, right? So the third part is about the hybrid learning models. Now, a hybrid learning is nothing but having an online session going on at the same time. You also conduct the classes in the physical classroom. So we are doing it both the ways. So teachers can be seen from the remote participants, and the participants can also be a part of the class, of course, virtually, but still that is what the setup is all about. So there are different, again, means, there are different options available. So most of the times it is the school, the IT or the management which need to decide which are the best things they can opt for based on their spending capacity, based on the the amount of technology you need to accept. There's always a debate when it happens to how much technology is good and how much is bad. Is it really required? There's so many, so many things, so many aspects of teaching and learning which has to be considered while you are making these choices. So yes, there are people out there who are well versed in such all these technologies. They can guide you. You can reach out to us in case if you have such plans. And then comes the blended learning approach. Now, what exactly is blending learning? We'll talk about that in detail. It is to start with, I think, is nothing but use of your traditional way of teaching methods and converging it with the digital tools which are available. So that is what most of them do. But then this has to be integrated with the streaming software. So how to do this? There are 2-3 things. It has to be amalgamation of all this so that you get a better teaching experience and also learning experience to the students. Right. And last but not the least, a very important aspect is for the teachers or the staff to get trained in how to do this. The small sessions would not help. We need to have a hands-on experience. We need to do trial runs. So that can be planned. A lot of school management is looking out for the teachers to get trained, and also for the fact that now the schools are starting again back to school. So the entire infrastructure has to be upgraded. If not, they have to be purchasing it. The teachers have to be trained in using this. Now the job is much easier compared to earlier, is what I feel, because we don't have to start from basics. It can be achieved in a much quicker, much faster way. So yes, so we'll talk about these are the current trends. Of course, there are a lot many, but I picked up this 4-5 things which we can discuss on, right? So yeah, so let's talk about the first. When it comes to the classroom, the digital classroom or an ICT classroom. So ICT as a term is not being used much, but then actually what it means is information and communication technologies. So here we are using, in a classroom, we are using communication tools, which is a video display, a large format display, and the audio can be, if the classroom is big enough, then you use the microphone connected with the speakers. So use of communication technologies for what? I mean, what we are doing in a classroom is transferring the knowledge, transferring the information from the teachers and to the students. So how effectively we can do that is what is all about technology. Technology is not here to do anything in terms of the way the teacher has been conducting classes. It is there to help the teacher in a way that the teacher can reach out to many students. And that is one important aspect why technology was used in the classroom. Was the classrooms are getting bigger. There are certain classrooms which has a strength of more than 40 or close to 50 sometimes. So how will a person or the student sitting at the back of the bench will be able to see them? So that's when they came in the projector in the classroom. So they used a big screen and projected the PC connected to that, and it was big enough to cater to the class. So that's how it started initially. Now, having said that, one, display is a very important element in a digital classroom. And the second part is, in case if there is a need of an audio to the teachers, especially if you ask me, they do a lot of talking, 8 hours, a day, 6 hours, or so many classes they take. And when you're talking, you can't be talking mellow. The students need to hear them till the last. And the ambient noise level in the classroom in a school environment is much high. So it's suggested that they can use a collar microphone connected with the speakers. So we have also seen practical, examples of having the throat, having a sore throat, leading to much more complication in terms of the vocal cords are concerned. So yes, so that's the technology. We are taking help of it. So it's always better to use them the way, so it can make the teacher's life much better. Deliveries in terms of how well I'm presenting them. So if I have to take, on the left, if you can see, I will just highlight that. Yeah, so if you can see, this is one tool in a ICT classroom or digital classroom, which can be used so effectively. So here the teacher is trying to present a part of a textbook onto the bigger screen. Now, this is actually one activity which can save so much of time. Imagine if it is a lower grade school and the students have to follow what the teacher is trying to explain. So we generally in a scenario where the teacher would say, open certain page number, that particular chapter, and the para. Some students might take more time. There will be a communication loss due to ambient, higher decibel levels. Some students may not be listening to it. Now think about this, that you have this camera being pointed at the textbook, and it is there up on the big wall, and everyone can just follow the teacher much more effectively. So here you're again saving time. So the use of technology, which again I want to emphasize, is not only in terms of changing the way or the traditional way of teaching, but you're only using certain technologies wherein you can save time, you can reach out to maximum students. So yes, so that becomes two part. And the third part, what I'm doing right now is highlighting part or doing an annotation on the existing content. Imagine now if I have to draw certain information. So the teachers inputs on the existing content, which will do the sessions interactive. So interactive in a way that the content and the teachers overlay on the content is what we are talking about. So this way the content becomes more informative. If certain elements of the subject, the topic which need to be discussed is missing out, so the teacher can add on those concepts. So these three things are bare minimum. Of course, there is a whole lot of things which we can talk about. We can talk about digital classrooms having, audience poll meters. Now you can do it through software as well. You can do assessments in a ICT classrooms. Computer will be a heart of it again. And there are also certain Android displays which have come in the market. So what happens, you can also, kind of eradicate the use of a PC, because that's a huge investment. So based on the kind of teaching methods what we are following, you can also use an Android machine, which is much cheaper than investing on a PC, on an i5 or i3 PC. So that can be looked at. So yes, I mean, this is the more or less about digital classrooms. A lot of schools in metro, especially, they have them. And connected to that is the second part. We will move in after this digital classrooms. Upgrading, yeah, I just want to mention about the upgrading part. Now here, while taking the online sessions, a lot of people would have faced the issue of the system not being responsive enough, which means that I need to do annotation, I need to go to the next slide, and it starts buffering, it starts hanging because of the lower computing capacity. So we can enhance that. Second, in case if you're using a projector which has being used for a longer duration, So projector generally has a lamp which has a burning hours of 2,500 or so, up to 4,000. So as post 1,000 hours of its life, it starts degrading in terms of its performance. So you might have a dull image on the projector screen. So you can enhance, then you can have maintenance check done, change the bulbs, or upgrade it. So the most latest thing what we are having in the classroom is a interactive flat displays ranging from 55 inches, 65 inches, 75, 86, and so on. So though that's one particular thing, product which digital classrooms are being equipped with the modern technology. Right. So this was more about the classroom. Hope I'm audible. If Purnima, can you just
yeah,
confirm that?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So yeah, the second part on the main slide, what I was talking about, the virtual classroom. So virtual classrooms, whatever class sessions have been taken during the pandemic, a lot of them may have not used certain tools. Now, this is actually a layout of one such a streaming software. It is a Microsoft Teams software. I've just taken a snapshot of it. That how you can manage the classes if it is K to 12, and if there are 12 grades, and each grade is having 4 sections. So how do I manage them? So it was a very challenging times for the admins and for the IT managers. Teachers, of course, were supported by this staff to conduct these sessions, but it took a time. And this actually, the challenging part was that we were not prepared for it. When things started to shut down immediately, very few were prepared for it. And then we started with the virtual classroom, and then even now, if we have to kind of have this system in place, so if you have to do a hybrid learning, so this is required. So you can have an automated. There are a lot of features which comes along with it now, which is not available in a normal video conferencing platform. So we can look at this. There are, attendance is something. A lot of time is being used or utilized, or maybe I can't say wasted, but yes, a lot of time has been taken while marking attendance when you're having an online session. So that has been automated through these softwares. There is again visibility when it comes to PIB in a picture. How many students can you view in one particular window? Now that is again the limitation. Sometimes if somebody is asking a question, a student is pose a question, and you need to find a student. So you sometimes waste time in kind of checking from where which student is trying to communicate. So that, right, there's file sharing, there is chat options. One important thing is that chat options, now we should be able to control, monitor, and manage these chat options. A lot of times during a class, this has been creating a nuisance in terms of just posting certain chats, just distracting the class, which has happened so many times. Now these particular features are there where you can block or also kind of allow. So these options should be available in the streaming software. And second is the identification of the students. For example, if the student is joining, the joining has to be in his name. We can follow or track that with the roll numbers. And when the student logs in, it should not be the parents. Initially, it used to happen. The student used to join with the parents, login names, and just missed out in changing the names. So tracking the students. So all these things, this do play a major role in terms of making the best use of that 40-45 minutes or 1 hour class by taking care of this. So once we get used to these features, which we can adapt in a classroom environment, on a virtual classroom environment, that will save a lot of time. So this again available. So we can talk about then one and on when somebody wants to kind of explore these possibilities. We can check. Right. So that was about the virtual platform, and now we are coming on to the hybrid model. Okay. So now one thing I'm missing out here is that I'm not seeing my audience in a physical audience, right? So that's one things which is missed out. And even now, if you ask any student, you want online sessions or you want a physical classroom, anybody would say that, I want to be in the classroom. So that's the beauty of it. The beauty about the classroom infrastructure, the teachers having the personal connect with the students, the friends, all that social bonding which happens, that's just very essential. And for that, there is a solution, is a hybrid learning model where the classes are happening in a physical form, and also at the same time, whatever the teacher is conducting the classes is streamed online. So here you can see in this pictorial view about this sessions. There's a camera here, and this is the main display where the content has been put, and this is the remote participants. They can also be a part of this class. This is a camera which is focusing towards this teacher. There will be a microphone which will be synchronized with the streaming computing element. And that's all about the hybrid learning model. Now, again, here, what to choose based on the capacity, based on how big the screen has to be, what has to be the spec of the camera, the microphone sensitivity. There's so many other things which comes in terms of technologies being available. So we can talk about that in detail on and on, maybe we can have special sessions only in terms of technologies. So I'm just talking about a brief in terms of what can be looked at while making such decisions, right? So what is available in terms of these classrooms is hybrid classrooms. Yeah, there are these 4 major elements. I'm talking about the streaming software. We are talking about the display. There'll be 2 display, one for the teacher's view and one display which will be facing the students. And there's a camera, the PTZ camera or a normal camera. PTZ stands for pan tilt zoom. We can have an automated zoom in on the content. And the microphone, of course, all this connected with the PC, and this gets streamed out. And one important thing, what you can do is based on the campus, based on the in the reach of the school, we can integrate this learning model on the LMS if they have a learning management software tool where they have connected all the students and the teachers onto the platform. So this can get connected to LMS, and you again save a lot of time in terms of managing each class. So this can be looked at as one of the solutions, right? So yeah, the next is, yeah, so this is basically these 3-4 things which I thought are in currently we are discussing with the schools. And yes, of course, the training part which I missed out in the end, which was there. So when the classes are being conducted, the blended learning approach, what happens is, like, if I have to take a subject in terms of science or maybe mathematics class. So how generally it's been taught is you write the formulas on the blackboard. Now in this case, if you have a digital board, you write it on the digital board, and use of certain pre-animated contents which are there. As in, with the training, the teacher will be in a position to create their own content, right? So they can create their own content sessions, they can record them, they can use it in the classrooms, further classrooms, they can use that content to send it out to the students who have not been able to make it for that particular class. So all these things can help the staff, the teacher, to conduct a much more effective classroom, digital class. So also in terms of using these gadgets, now of course after the post-pandemic, as we keep saying it, a lot of teachers, a lot of students are used to the technology, the gadgets. So we'll not be taking as much as time as before while initiating this digital classrooms. I remember initially we're talking about 7, 8, even up to like 6 years back, of course. So we need to have a separate support staff just to on these machines when the teacher walks in the classroom. So turning on the projector, booting the PC, opening that content in terms of if there is a digital content available in the school, then making it available. This generally used to take up to 10 minutes when the teacher walks in. right? In the 10 minutes, within that time, maintaining the class, maintaining the decibel levels in the classroom, and teacher not losing out on this precious 10 minutes. So that we'll save out on that with this training. There will be hardware training, use of technologies, and much better way in terms of imparting knowledge in the class. So we are talking about that. Overall, what you're talking about is not just in the classrooms. So today, post-pandemic, if somebody has to talk about technologies in the class and technology in the education. So when it comes to education, the upgradation is happening all over, not just in the classroom. If you talk about the lab's been upgraded from a computer lab, it's been upgraded to an AI lab, then they have robotics lab, process automation in terms of your admin ERPs related softwares, e-payments again, yeah, you have e-payments options, a digital way of paying, and then those payments, imagine if an admin has to kind of collate that information and kind of match it with the students. You can automate all that. You can automate all those processes, which is again a part of the education technology. E-learning, of course, we are talking about e-learning in terms of imparting knowledge through online and offline. And together, all this makes it as e-schooling. So e-schooling concepts, right? So this has been the way the technology has got integrated in the education sector. So I started with having those labs, computer education. The one good thing in India has been that the computer basics have been there, and it is much widely being taught, presented to the students. And I think I don't know, if any teachers would not know the usage of computers. They all know it, but the challenge has been its application. How do I apply that knowledge in terms of this computer literacy onto using it for teaching? So that's what we're talking about. That's what the digital transformation is all about. That's what we are talking about, blended learning. And the trainers actually do the same. So it's just help the concepts in the teaching concepts and the technology bringing together, presented, which in the end should save time, should have better learning outcomes. It should improve the grades of the students, and of course meet this objective of reaching out to the students who is not in the classroom. So this is what we are trying to achieve with these technologies, right? So yeah, again, when you talk about e-school, the other areas of technology incorporations will be your starting from school vehicles. We're talking about school vehicles having a GPS tracking, talking about automated attendance management, digital notice boards. Of course, now through the LMS softwares, you can send out notices on the parent's mobile. So you can just, the parent can just log in and see what are the notifications, what are the new circulars which are coming in from the school. And also within the campus, if this content can be managed remotely, the system admin can just put out a notice board remotely. And if it is a larger campus, if there are more than 10, 20 boards there in different sections, with just a click of a button, all the digital notice boards gets updated with the new information. That's technology we're talking about. We're talking about surveillance. Surveillance again is not limited only to monitoring. We have analytics connected to it. So video analytics can be used, periphery surveillance can be used, notifications which comes along with it as a part of a solution, access control, and there's so many things. Intelligent business building management systems to check. One important aspect when you talk about the buildings is the electricity bills. The power bills which can be monitored, which can be reduced. The consumption can be reduced based on the occupancy sensors. If the school is not, the class is not functioning, it can auto off the fans, lights, even the displays. The displays has got, there is an entity version in certain brands wherein you can remotely switch off the displays, and you can also set them. For example, if the school is ending it at 4, so you can ensure that at 4 all the displays are off, even if the teacher has missed out on turning it off. So you can still have this remote controlling of the devices. That's possible. So this is entirely to talk about the e-campus or e-school is concerned. So moving ahead, yeah, overall what we are trying to achieve is digital transformation for the teachers, for the management, for the school staff, not just the teachers. You have admin can enhance, increase the productivity by using these tools. All right. So there's so many, even for all the stakeholders, talking about students, the parents, and so they are all benefited with this digital tool. So it's only a matter of the choices what you make. What is that you need to opt for out of all the things which are available out in the market. And it's a good thing that the things have fallen in place in terms of using of these technologies in the classrooms, and it will only get better. Now it's a time where they have to choose the best out of the lot, right? So we are in that stage now. So there were times when there were trainings happening in terms of why the digital classrooms were required. You know, there were times initially. So now that's not a question anymore. It's like which one you want to have. So the discussion is about that. So India has grown many folds in that segment. Even government has brought in digitization funds for the government schools. So there is again the digitization happening. TV channels being added, which is only looking out for educational content. I think in this year's session they have increased those channel numbers from 2 digits to 3 digits. So yes, so there are a lot of emphasis being given on this digital transformation. So of course, there will be challenges as well as we talk about the benefits and challenges. So it is not a universal challenge as such. So every individual will have its own challenges, but here we are to overcome those challenges. The entire education fraternity, even the vendors, the companies who are education friendly companies, they have gotten so many tools which can help the educators, right? So all those things are happening. So just reach out to get the help what we need. Of course, the training is one particular aspect where we can solve a lot of doubts and clarify information, make better use of technology in the classrooms. Yes. So yes, I think the challenge is yes. If someone has any queries in terms of particular challenge that they are facing, we'll be happy to address them. Yes. Right. So Punima, you've got anything?
Yeah. So what I'm getting from the audience is that they're finding the session very informative, especially when it comes to setting up this complete hybrid learning ecosystem from A to Z. And how well you have explained, that explains a lot. I'm still waiting for the audience to say if they have any queries or questions, but nevertheless, if you feel you have any doubts and you want to understand the system more in depth, you can always get in touch with us later on. We have our education community page right there. Every link is being embedded in the comment section, in the description box of the video and of this post. And if you have any queries, we are still waiting for the audience to share their queries. So is it possible to stop the screen share?
Yes, we will. Right.
Okay. So regarding the points, a few points which I want, which I actually liked and would like my fellow educators and also stakeholders to think upon is that the digital learning is actually not only an alternative to our offline classrooms. It is something for teachers to have maximum students participation. That's one thing, even in case of remote learning scenario where students are unable to attend the classroom, and also reduce the efforts, reduce the time which teacher has to dedicate in the classroom in collecting all the resources or collecting all the multimedias at one place. So digital technology or any kind of such environment, I think, helps in that. You talked about e-campuses. We particularly like that thing where starting from the kind of infrastructure support a school might be needing, right, in terms of hardware and also the software and also the teacher training part. The complete solutions are there for that. And it's a good time for schools to actually start exploring around it and investing in it. if they want maximum students' learning outcomes to be increased, and also a better outcome, a better totally engaged classrooms. That's what we are looking at. Not only a replacement. Once again, I would like to reiterate that not only increasing this as an alternative to our offline classrooms, no, but also as a better engaged classrooms we are looking forward to. And I think ViewSonic India already has a lot of such systems at place where the interested people can contact us for the training sessions, for the demo sessions. They can get in touch with us, understand the things in depth. And that's
yeah. Here. So we were talking about the digital tools and teaching technology. Now, what had happened is during pandemic, there was no choice given to teachers. I mean, it was a compulsion to use this means of teaching. But now when things are coming back to normal, we don't want to lose out on that. So the teachers have a certain approach towards conducting the class. So not all of it, but we have to still continue using certain teaching tools so that it will help teachers. We are again aiming at two major things. One is that teachers' efforts in terms of conducting those classes has to be reduced. Now, when we are imparting knowledge, now you take half an hour to do it, or you take 10 minutes to do it. So anybody would prefer lesser time, right? So that is what we are trying to impart, by using these technologies, right? So that's one part. And the second is in students. If I can guarantee, if these classes are being conducting the way with the help of technology in a certain way, it will definitely make a huge difference in the overall outcomes of the student, right? So if
that's right.
2 months as a testing period, and then after that you have a test and then see the outcome. So I myself have seen it works in a much better way that management was surprised. Now digital tools are used most of the time. It is in terms of computation, like some school is using it, and since they are using it, we need to use it. So that's it started with that. I'm happy that it started at least with that. But then how you make use of it is a biggest challenge.
In fact, more than adults, the students are more better adapted to technology usage in their education than we adults can actually imagine. Sometimes we are also surprised. Yeah.
The research has shown that. I mean, the research has shown that the pictorial representation of any concept is better in terms of understanding and retention. It's not just about the understanding of the part, but the knowledge retention has been the major challenge when it comes to. So that we can address all these issues. We're talking about 21st century learning. We're talking about critical thinking, collaboration, communication. There's so many, all the C's. Now, computational thinking, that's again one of the important elements. How do you impart this? Like, actually, the teacher does all that. Now, to be aware of what is happening. Now, for example, there is one method of teaching which is practiced is the project-based learning, which is called PBL. Now, project-based learning actually helps the students to cater to this 5 C's. They communicate, they collaborate, they present. They do the computational thing, critical thinking, computation. Everything is being taken care. So these are the ways. So what you're doing is emphasizing on certain elements in terms of teaching. No doubt they know the concept, but it's also important how well they present it, how well they exercise that. Now that's again taking an exam. We have seen students being very good in terms of understanding it, but then when it comes in presenting in a written form or in oral form, so we are trying to address that. So this is possible with the help of technology. So yes.
You talked about the classroom management also. You talked about the software, especially Microsoft Teams. You were talking about how online classroom managements can be done in an hybrid atmosphere. Sir, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes. So I think, if we had some questions, would have loved to take it, but I think we still have time. The time was set for 6 years.
We request the audience to share your opinion, your thoughts, your feedback, your queries about the challenges which you have been facing, and how would you like the challenges to be addressed? What is that solution where we can help you with that? And also, we have our myViewBoard educators community, that is our official Facebook community group. where educators and stakeholders can join, share their ideas, can learn more about the hybrid learning solutions as well. So we would encourage all the participants to join our Facebook group and post their queries, in fact, you can share your learning experiences with us. We would be happy to learn from you. And so while we are on this conversation, we would love to hear about the post-pandemic challenges specifically. And since we don't have much audience question right now, and Mr. Vilaas has spared a lot of time and a lot of his thoughts about the practices which work best in any kind of e-campus or hybrid learning environment, we are looking forward to more insights from you, sir, in the next episode. Next episode, can you shed some light about what the next episode would be like for our audience?
We can talk about the challenges, of course, because since I didn't, talk much in detail, but yes, I think we can take the comments, of course, from the teachers community. We can get those questions in place, and then we can create one session which talks about how to overcome these challenges. Now, these challenges can be in terms of the hardware infrastructure, of course, not just the ability to use those tools. It can be a challenge in terms of the hardware which is available, how well it is responsive, is it convenient? Now, what happens is you use certain tools and it is not convenient. It is little, cluttered in a way which is not easy to use. Those kind of a situation. So what is that? And in case if you're talking about the limitation in terms of the bandwidth, the internet connectivity, or in terms of online available content to present, that can also be a challenge. So we can talk on that sessions, and also talk more on hybrid learning, since if the audience is interested in terms of knowing more, so I can create certain solutions, small, medium, which will cater to that needs in terms of having those. It will be a kind of a need, because what will happen is, in case if a student is unwell, and then it is not the situation where he is able to come, but then there is also a protocol where, in case if you are unwell, then you are not supposed to attend school, right? So that time we don't just give the student a recording, or just give the homework to be done. He can also be a part of this class. So that's why hybrid learning will be very, very essential.
That's right. That's right. So our audience can expect a lot of real-time challenges which are being faced by Indian education system when it comes to hybrid learning, and the solutions related to that in our upcoming episodes in this series of post-pandemic challenges in K-12 education. That's all from our side for this week. Catch you. Stay tuned for our pages for all the updates regarding more episodes and latest updates on myViewBoard, as well as on hybrid learning solutions. That's all from our side. That's me, Purnima, and Mr. Vilaas Naik, signing off from ViewSonic India. Thank you so much for joining us in this wonderful evening. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you all. Thank you, Vilaas, sir.